What's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back at one of my favorite parking spot locations because guess what? We have something new from Hyundai for 2023. This is it. This is a 2023 Hyundai Tucson, but guess what? This isn't your regular Tucson Limited or any of the other trims. This is a new XRT Tucson. But before we get into this off-road-esque all-wheel drive compact crossover SUV, let's talk about what's going on here. Hyundai, they're going through their lineup like gangbusters, redesigning their vehicles and also bringing new vehicles to market. Not too long ago, we were talking about that small subcompact crossover known as the Venue, of course the Ioniq 5 and that upcoming Ioniq 6. Now the Tucson received a redesign, but Hyundai, looking at their competition, wanted to do something a little bit more off-road-esque. Now, when you look at compact crossover SUVs, there's lots of competition. One of the main ones, really one of the early starters of that small compact crossover SUV was the 1994 Toyota RAV4. This vehicle did not even exist back in 1994 because Hyundai did not come up with their first crossover SUV until Y2K, the year 2000. That was the Santa Fe. Next up would be the Tucson, and then you work your way down the line. Now, with a lot of competition, like I said, coming out with these off-road spec crossovers, Hyundai wanted to go up against the big boy. That would be the Toyota RAV4 TRD. It's not a TRD Pro, it's a TRD. Get some of those off-road touches, but what I want to find out is this the better off-road compact crossover SUV for your hard-earned money over the RAV4 TRD? Let's go ahead, let's dive into this Tucson XRT and find out. Right off the bat, the color. I love this dark metallic blue, and I think one of the many reasons why I like it is because it hides some of the weird geometric shapes that they put into the body of the new Tucson. Now, at the front of the business, it goes without saying you're gonna get LED daytime running lamps, and I love the way that they work the lighting into the corner and then down into the actual grille. You even have LED turn signals and those LED headlights in that separate section down below with a corner air curtain. So very, very nice touch, and that's something that when you look at the RAV4 TRD, I think the lighting is much more modern and way more effective being full LED all the way around than the RAV4 TRD. I love the way they have this angular extension, and then on the XRT specifically, you are gonna get this flat black, unique lower lip area. So you can see how they made the indentations and the different design. It's nice that it's flat black. Definitely take a better beating as you're going off-road. You do get about an inch extra ground clearance. So we're talking about almost 8 inches of ground clearance under the XRT. You do have functionality down below. And as we kind of slide our way up, you do have functionality up top. You get a unique metallic gray grille. The badge, I'm gonna zonk, and the reason why is it would have been nice to have this all color matched or a blacked out badge, since this is a sportier off-road that they're trim that they're calling the XRT, but definitely you're not gonna confuse this with the front of a RAV4. Now, when you get up onto the hood, same exact hood as any other 2023 Tucson. I do like the way it just comes flush with the top of the grille. You got a clean indentation in the center, and then you have that V for victory that goes right towards the A-pillars. Now, as we come around the bend, what are we working with wheel and tire setup? So just like the RAV4 TRD, on this XRT, we are gonna get specific wheels. I like the simple design, very, very clean design, satin black. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what is the size of this wheel? You're basically looking at a 19-inch wheel, 235 on the width, 55 series sidewall. Hyundai did go through the suspension, just like Toyota, and reworked the suspension to be a little bit more off-road-esque, obviously with the little bit extra ride height. You can see how they have the flat black around the fender openings with those same kind of indentations that they had on that front lip area. Let me know how you feel about the flat black. Obviously, on the RAV4 TRD, you're also gonna get flat black, a little bit different wheel design. Like I said, I think this is a really clean design, satin black, 19-inch wheel. Now, as we rise up and we kind of swing around, you're gonna notice that angular styling. So I do like the way they work the fender. It's just it gets a little wonky as we get into the door because you have this weird triangular shape here. It's one of those things that I think you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. And if you're looking for something a little bit cleaner, then the RAV4 TRD is probably gonna be the way to go. But if you're looking for modern, this is definitely bringing the modern-esque. You're gonna have gloss black on the mirror caps, like the way they work the turn signals. Up top, you'll notice that we have our roof rails, flat black, but we also have what comes on the XRT, the crossbars. These are fully adjustable. You obviously can put your kayak rack up there, your bike rack, a cargo rack. You can even strap your kids up there. If they're not behaving and they don't want to sit inside and be quiet, strap them up on the roof. No, let me put a disclaimer in there. I'm not saying to do that, it's just a joke. But anyways, what's not a joke is down below you are gonna get an XRT specific running board for those that wanna get a little bit of extra height as they climb in. I really think the best benefit for these is when you're up here. So when you're strapping and you're putting the come-alongs down and all that, it's easy to do with those running boards. Not so necessary to get in and out unless you're about 2 feet tall. My only complaint is they're kind of on the lower side, which is gonna inhibit that whole off-roading experience. So just something to think about, but you do have color match on the door handles. I like the way they went flat black along the bottom. Everything else is gloss black up top and in the center. And then as we work our way towards the rear pillar, I do like the way they take the trim with that same indentation that they do on the fenders and that front lip, bring it into the rear. And I love the way you get a semi-flared fender look. And as we kind of swing it around, Steven will kind of show off how that body line comes into the rear taillights and how you have that lower portion goes into the rear bumper. I do like the way they do the rear LED taillights, especially how it illuminates all the way across. Let me know what you think. This reminds me of the Mustang Mach-E. And I apologize for saying the word Mustang. This reminds me of the Mach-E from Ford, the EV crossover SUV, those taillights. Of course, you're gonna get H-Track. That's gonna be that awesome all-wheel drive system that's gonna send power from the front to the rear, because remember, this is front-wheel drive based. And then the rear bumper area, just like up front, is gonna take a nice beating because it's all flat black, a little bit of black chrome, which is kind of weird because I wish they would have done that on the badge up front. But you also notice that you get on the XRT towing capabilities. So that's another thing. They know people are gonna wanna tow some light trailers and whatnot, maybe a Ski-Doo or two with your XRT. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what the heck is powering it. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. You do have a prop rod, but also the RAV4 TRD has a prop rod. Underneath the hood, it's interesting how comparable this is to a RAV4 TRD, because guess what? We got the same displacement engine. It's a 2.5 liter inline four producing 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission, so no CVT, but guess what? The RAV4 TRD also has an 8-speed automatic transmission. This does have the H-Track all-wheel drive. And if you're wondering, well, how much MPGs are you gonna see on this thing? Not too shabby, 24 in the city, 29 on the highway. But it's great that they really looked at the competition, primarily the RAV4 TRD, and tried to build a Tucson that was off-road spec specific for them. So that kind of shows their intention with this vehicle. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire it up and see this XRT in motion. Hi guys, we're inside this 2023 Hyundai Tucson XRT. I better do the X. They told me to make an X with my arms at least once in the video. So XRT, I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I've been looking at the CRV, I've been looking at the CX-5, I've been looking at the CX-50, I've been looking at the RAV4, I've been looking at the new Sportage from Kia. How much is this Tucson XRT? Very good question. And it's good that you're looking at the competition, because you really need to do your due diligence when shopping for a vehicle. This one, the way it's optioned, MSRP right at $34,000. Let's see what you get compared to a RAV4 TRD to the door panels. So you're gonna get that very modern style, soft touch material up top. You do have a little bit of gloss black in that strip, but it's more for aesthetics. You're not gonna touch it. You do also have some cloth, which is kind of weird. They really brought every textured material that they had in the parts bin. Gloss black around the switchgear, I am gonna zonk because that is where you're gonna get fingerprints everywhere, but I do like the contrast stitching, and the armrest itself is very soft. Door pocket though is on the tighter side, so maybe one Annie Ann's pretzel, make it a cinnamon and sugar, and a bottle of chocolate milk to have a healthy start to your day. Now going from the door panel to the dash, I do like the way they really create a lot of room by pushing everything towards the firewall. You can see how they take that modern design and blend the AC vents and have it wrap into the center stack. And talking about the center stack, when you go XRT, you're getting an 8-inch infotainment system screen. Now the great news is you do have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, but it is the more base system. The larger screen is 10.25-inch screen. You can see how it's touchscreen capability. You do have quiet mode so you don't wake up the kids. I also can appreciate how they have knobs for volume and for tuning, but everything else you're gonna be touching the gloss black. Just something to remember. Let me throw it into reverse. Nice resolution on the backup camera. And you got your trajectory. The one thing that confuses me is that if this is supposed to be off-road spec, just like the Toyota TRD, there's no forward-facing camera, so that's a little bit of a zonk. You do have dual climate control, which is really nice, and they do have the physical switches for temperature, and then you touch that gloss black area to make all the other adjustments. Down below, they got you covered. Wireless charging, 2 USB-A's, and a 12-volt. You do have a little nook here for, I would say, one of those cupcakes from Little Debbie's, a Little Debbie cupcake. Here's your key fob, basic key fob. You do have where you could pop the rear, and you do have remote start. There's the Hyundai badge. This is going to control your 8-speed automatic, 2 cup holders. You can lock the center diff, shut off that pesky auto start stop. We got drive modes, which I'll show you that in a second. Hill descent control, and your parking camera. You do have 3 stages of heated seats, no ventilated seats. That's where they normally go, is right there. Soft on the armrest. Open it up. I'd say easily you could drop one of those small 4-piece chicken boxes from KFC, maybe even squeeze a biscuit or 2 in there. I say go for it because the biscuits are pretty good. Close that up. The seats, they are cloth. They're very, very grippy. I don't know, they kind of feel like sandpaper a little bit. So maybe if you want to file your nails, you could do that, but they give you a little bit of a design to kind of spruce it up. Manual seat controls for the passenger. I have full electric assist because I'm the captain of this XRT. And then the only other thing kind of missing is there's no sunroof. Makes me a little sad. I can't get my vitamin D. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I have 10 inches I want to show you of infotainment system digital gauge cluster coming over. Check it out. Guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have your seat controls, especially that lower lumbar. I really, really can appreciate, at least my lower back can appreciate. I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of headroom because guess what? There's no sunroof. Steering wheel, you are getting that funky looking steering wheel that Hyundai has been kind of working on with their design. I don't mind it really. It is an interesting wheel. Clean on the horn button. You do have some gloss black buttons, some silver buttons. It is a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then you got that dash. There's your 10.25 inches of digital gauge cluster. I like the way it's got all that information in the center. You can see how the all-wheel drive works, your lane keep assist, and then check out the modes. Are you ready? Because I'm ready. Sport mode, ba-bam. Smart mode. And then let's build a snowman mode. So we're gonna leave it in sport. That's just how I like to roll on throttle. But other than that, very simple on the layout. Let's get in the back seat and see if your passengers are gonna be happy that you went Hyundai over Tucson. Let's go check it out. All right guys, back seat time, and you know what? There actually might be more room back here in this Tucson over the Toyota RAV4. So especially without the sunroof, plenty of room back here. You do get pockets on the back of both seats. This is good because especially if you're going camping, bring a couple Whammos with you. What's a Whammo? One of those Whammo Frisbees. Lots of fun. There's even down the street, you could go play Frisbee golf. I've never tried it, but people say it's very invigorating. Let me know in the comment section if you are an avid Frisbee golf player. Back of the command center, what do we got? We got rear AC vents, pretty good size, and 2 USB-As. I have my own pocket over here because you know what? I'm gonna bring a couple Mad Libs. I don't know if you know what those are. Google it if you don't. And then also a travel size battleship game. I used to love to play that when my brothers and sisters would cry, "You sank my battleship." And then I would say, "That's right." Pull that down. Nice armrest. The only problem is it's not very soft. It's like they took a brick and wrapped it in cloth with 2 cup holders. But you know what? Let's see what kind of cargo space we have because I'm ready to go camping in this XRT. All right, guys, time to get in the cargo area. Now, before I do, that tow hookup that comes with the XRT, you could tow up to 2,000 pounds with this vehicle. And when you go to open up the back, you actually don't reach up here. I always want to reach here. I don't know about you, but down here is where you're actually going to hit. You do have a nice electric assist on the rear cargo hatch lid area. One thing I want to point out right off the bat, look how low that rear bumper is. That's going to make it very easy to get heavy, large objects in and out of the back of the XRT. And then what you're going to be greeted to is over 30 cubic feet of space. So if you want to know what the actual number is, it's 38.7 cubic feet of space. You fold the seats down, you get 80.3 cubic feet of space. And what's nice is that you do have a 12-volt power source for when you're at the beach or you're camping or whatever. And then I like the way they have the handles. You just go ahead and pull, and then I'm gonna come on this side and you're gonna pull. And then what I'll showcase for you is that they actually lock in, which is really nice. So that means that this won't be bouncing all over the place. I don't know about you, but if you've ever had a long, especially lighter object, sometimes when you go over bumps, it starts bouncing all over the place. This will keep it nice and flat. And then on top of that, if you're wondering, is there a spare? Hyundai's got you covered. So you actually have that rear spare. And are you ready for this one? I didn't tell Steven we were gonna do this. I'm gonna do it right now on the fly. Here we go. I just got you a couple extra inches of cargo space there by lowering the cargo floor just a little bit, because remember, every inch counts. Just like your mom used to say to make you feel better about size, every inch counts, and it definitely counts in the back cargo area. But if you're ready, I'm ready. We got this dark blue Tucson. Why don't we take it for a little spin and see how it drives? Let's go do it. All right, guys, we're inside this 2023 Hyundai Tucson XRT. Right away, what you're really gonna like about the interior of this Tucson is how well it's laid out. Getting to the infotainment system is very easy in reach. The only thing I'm not loving, like I said before, is that to get through a lot of the functions of the infotainment system, you have to hit the gloss black. There's only a few physical switches and thumb drive wheels. But other than that, it's easy to see, and they put a nice anti-glare finish on it, so you still are always able to see no matter how much sun is coming inside. But what you're gonna notice on this Tucson XRT is whether you're going off-road or staying on-road, it rides very smooth, very comfortable. And with that H-Track all-wheel drive system, you're gonna get really great traction no matter what the conditions are. I'm gonna go ahead and put it into sport mode, all by hitting the switch right behind the shifter. And then what we'll do is I'm gonna do a little bit of on throttle from a dead stop here once this light turns green, and that will allow me to show you what the traction is like. But seats are fairly comfortable. They're very supportive. I'll definitely give them that. Just not my favorite cloth style material. And it's crazy how there's no actual hood for the gauge cluster, but yet there's no glare on it. But here we go, on throttle. Smooth shifts from the 8-speed. And this definitely feels snappier than the Toyota RAV4 TRD. even though it's got the same displacement engine, same style transmission, it's an 8-speed automatic, this for some reason just feels snappier, quicker. But when you're in sport mode, that's going to adjust the throttle sensitivity, the steering sensitivity, and you could really feel the difference between the different modes. But it's very comfortable driving here. You can hear the safety features doing their thing, emergency brake assist, lane keep assist. That one was a little bit of a false alarm, and that's something that I've noticed, is that this vehicle has had a little bit more often than not a false alarm when it comes to the emergency brake assist. But you're gonna get that typical sound, that inline 4-cylinder sound. It's a little buzzy, nothing too over the top though. I think the biggest piece of technology that you're gonna notice is missing is that great blind spot camera system that's within the dash. But like I said, the handling and the ride quality is very, very nice in this Tucson. Visibility is good out the front. You can see how it holds on to the gear in sport mode, but now we're gonna see how it handles into this right-hand turn. On the brakes. On throttle, here we go. So, all that grip, getting down to the ground. It's nice and balanced. It's not too floaty, you know, it doesn't bob and weave all over the place. I'm gonna go ahead and put it into comfort mode, or what's called normal. And as you can see, as soon as I did that, it drops the revs and it softens everything a bit. But driving along, it's really good what they're bringing for the price point. Especially, remember, one thing you're gonna get with the Hyundai over the Toyota is the better warranty. You're gonna have that 5-year bumper to bumper, 10-year on the powertrain. So that's another thing to take in consideration when you're doing your comparison shopping. But definitely feels like a more modern vehicle in the Tucson with the redesign. It's gonna be interesting to see what Toyota brings with a redesign on the RAV4. They've only had a refresh because the RAV4 basically has been around since 2019 in the way that you see it now. But definitely in normal mode, not as sensitive on throttle, which is a good thing if that's what you want for your regular driving. Plenty of room in the back seat, plenty of cargo space, so they got you covered there. On throttle, here we go. Drops down. And we're gonna get on the highway briefly, just show you how that goes. Now, if you're wondering, do you hear wind noise, Joe? Yeah, you do, but you gotta remember that we do have the crossbars up on the roof rails, so that is gonna cause more wind resistance, which is gonna create more noise. But the little bit off-road spec tire does not create that much road noise, and you're just getting the wind noise from the crossbars, which that's a compromise. If you want to have the utility of being able to put things on the roof, well, guess what? It's going to cause a little bit more wind noise than normal. But very, very smooth, very comfortable for sure. All right, guys, we're going to roll back out onto the highway. On throttle from a roll. It's funny because it actually feels a little quicker than what the numbers say. Not as quick as the 1.6 liter turbo, obviously, but still getting out onto the road. I really think the whole purpose of this vehicle is for those that want a little different look right off the top with the wheels, the running boards, have the utility of the roof rack and the towing hookup. And when it comes down to going somewhere a little bit off the beaten path, this is going to do it a little bit more effectively than, say, a standard Tucson. But is this some type of real off-road vehicle? Of course not, but neither is the RAV4 TRD. And remember, it's not a TRD Pro, it's just a TRD. But hopefully this review has been a well overall consideration of what this Tucson XRT is bringing to the table. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. Hey guys, it's been another fun-filled day with this 2023 Tucson XRT. Of course, we gotta thank everybody at Hyundai USA for allowing us access to this press fleet vehicle. Let me know what you think. Which way are you gonna go? Are you gonna go Tucson XRT, the way that this one is optioned, especially with that 5-year bumper-to-bumper and 10-year powertrain warranty? Or are you gonna go the more tried and true route with the RAV4 TRD from Toyota? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radius Reds family. We got to give it up to Stephen Flood Photography, doing the business, whether we're in a parking lot or at the top of a mountain. Show him some love in that comment section. Thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you at the next ride.